When Nelson Mandela became head of South Africa, he had two poets singing his praises. One poet was because he was the head of a tribe, the other because he was head of South Africa. When John F. Kennedy became president, of course, you know, Robert Frost was at the inauguration. Robert Frost read a poem for the wonderful John F. Kennedy, who was soon to be assassinated. And then, when Clinton became president, Maya Angelou did that wonderful poem that you all saw on the television across the nation. When it came to the current fraud, he didn't know what poetry was, but it was definitely banned from the White House. So it had to reappear in every house in the American nation. Sam Hamill, Poets Against the War, Poets for Peace. A whole lot of people realize that poetry is your primary defensive system, your personality defense system against the prevailing silence. And of course the abusive language, the malapropisms, the verbal mendacities that allow polysyllabic massacres like what was that, a free fire zone, collateral damage and plausible deniability. Now, yeah, a war on terror. Well, we come to salute every one of you brave enough to live in the future, because you are the seeds of the coming harvest. You are the ones brave enough to say that word peace and act that word peace. And it's not as if we know we're not the only lonely ones out there. It's just somehow someone stole our tongues and substituted masturbation media, which of course this is an antidote for. Maybe the presidential system is obsolete already. The idea that any one person can represent anybody. Maybe it's going to come back to a village level where we meet in coffee shops like this and talk to each other about decisions, and we will be conscientious in our celebrations. Maybe it will be down to muffin politics, where you besiege the elected representatives with food and wassail and goodwill, and they will not know what to do with such weapons, because these are the weapons that every human being has access to, like language, truth, laughter, music, harmony. The power of these, of course, there's no antidote for. Homeopathically, they say Austin has to be the front line, since it was stolen by the Bush regime as the center of their crimes. Now, wherever there's an illness, the antidote's close at hand, and you are the ones who are conscientious in your objection to what's being done in your name again. And those brave souls who have come this evening to speak to those tribal wonders who understand the importance of actually saying something and doing something as one thing, not two separate regimes. And this is no political speech, this is no Osama bin Laden video. This is actually human speak, human tribe, in a coffee shop by two unemployed Democrats who poured their tiny profits into the coffee cups from which we all drink this evening. Thank you, Ben. If there is to be a future at all, we will need spaces and places together every day, every night. We will need people who are brave enough to speak their eyesight, who will bring their visions out and say unpopular things like, I surrender, I've already withdrawn from Iraq and Afghanistan. And the question is, how next do we live in a post-Bush world? Because there's a lot of mess to be cleaned up. I'm not just talking about New Orleans, Halliburton, Brown and Root. I'm talking about corporate corruption, the core. And if they say, well, what's to be done? Don't give me those hippie cliches, son. You'll say, no, 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 no. For every problem, we'll find a solution. And those brave ones in the State Department who realized the intelligence was messed with, and long before it was fashionable, resigned because they could no longer agree with murder of civilian populations. And those going on trial tomorrow morning and putting their body in the prison, saying, yeah, I deserve it because I don't want to kill anyone. Well, they're probably braver than me who simply speaks, because you see, they went on one tour and then found out the basic truth that war is terror. And if they say support the troops, I say support your local poets and musicians and support your artists, because they're weaving wonders. If we say support the troops, how do you support them? The torturers at Abu Ghraib, the ones on the video camera, the ones shooting down children? If they say support, we say bring them home. children, volunteers. If they want to object conscientiously to the slaughter being done in our name, well, we stand as that treasured minority stand with them, because none of us want to kill. Now, it's no longer geographical geopolitics. It's no longer just oil we're talking about, blood. It's no longer simple cliches. There's an occupation gone on for too long on our common intelligence, a violation of our common sense. And those too few stand up and try and talk truth to power are laughed out of court, but everyone gets a little bit nervous when things like uranium depleted ammunition and leukemia leaks finally seep their way through alternative media. People start talking about the things that matter to you, like the health of those coming back and the lack of services. Cutting of all care in this community, or this war mania, this little emperor, this out-of-date repeat of a past mistake, rambles on. Now, we're not part of an occupation. We've come back to our home nation, and we are here in conversation. This evening you will hear from the speakers of those brave ones. We're only like the picador with all the troubadours. There's a tsunami of change going on. Whether it's Obama or Hillary Clinton, the only ones I find represent anyone are the dreamers and brave ones living in your skin. I can't hand over my power to someone else's palm. Everyone should have their own guitar. Everyone should have not those sculpted ones that can't be played little all over Austin. No, a real one. Everyone should have their own microphone, their own PA system, their own beautiful musicians. Everyone should have their own coffee shop, their own computer. Everyone, don't tell me I'm dreaming in here, because I'm dreaming in here. Because what else can you do when you live in the middle of someone else's nightmare? None of us want to kill anyone. So let's say, they ask you then, what are you going to do? Well, the first step is obvious. You don't subscribe to the past. You don't put any energy into the war enterprises and start building at home, because this is where your will and your energy comes from. There are broken cities like New Orleans that still are not hygienic or clean. Putting the National Guard in only increases the problem. And even when Mardi Gras comes back, there's still that little fear of attack that how come there's been so many murders in the city since Katrina? And any point to overseas and say we're exporting democracy, well, ask the people of that regime, are we really with them or manipulating? And where's the people's will if we can't speak our minds? And what sort of democracy do we find when even our election processes have been tainted? Well, all this you already know. This is no MTV show. This is no Britney Spears haircut, nor Anna Nicole. Because when it comes down to distraction enterprises, everyone wants to know how we survive them in a time when they only want endless war and budget deficiting. Tax cuts for the rich, job cuts for the poor. And what we say is, walk away then. Be conscientious in your celebrating. Withdraw the power from the past regime and start being the solution. I don't know who your heroes are, but there's at least two of them this evening. And when they step up on this microphone and they start giving you their personal truth, it's not just words they're talking to, it's their actions, their decisions. I wear no gun, no bomb, no uniform. These are the only arms I need. And the only proposition advancing this evening is that we can come through without having to fight or conflict or be divided. If it can be peaceful here tonight, how far can this be extended?